Deathpixie disclaimer. This video was originally recorded in September 2024. There is swearing and profanity. Sources are listed in the description. This video is not monetized. Any ads you see provide revenue to the hosting site, not the creators. If you made it this far, geez, you have a lot of patience.
Deathpixie dancing on the lip of madness!
Welcome to Shitty PowerPoint Theater. Dignity not included.
All right, next one up. This is Mr. Monopoly. Richard Bedford
He really
Bennett.
is. He really is.
He was called the Iron Heel Bennett. He was in office for almost 5 years, so full term. Family, he was a confirmed bachelor. I thought you would like this one. Now, some things to note about him. So, he did have the Unemployment and Farm Relief Act.
Yeah.
Did have Farmers Creditor Arrangement Act, New Products Marketing Act, Prairie Farm Rehabilitation Act. Through the Canadian Wheat Board Act, he established the Canadian Wheat Board, Bank of Canada. So he actually established a Royal Commission.
He actually established a lot of things that were both started by King and or followed up by King. And you really see a lot of the expansion of programming in between the two that were really nonpartisan at the time.
Yeah. And Public Works Construction Act. Now, that being said, his response to the Depression was wildly unpopular.
Yeah.
Policies that were largely ineffective.
The market's gonna fix itself. Yeah.
Now, I do want to note something. So when we see a relief camp, what that was a military-run and styled relief camp in remote areas throughout the country where single unemployed men toiled for 20 cents a day. Anyway, eventually they ended up striking. And yeah, they sent in, again, the RCMP to read the riot act to the 3,000 strikers and their supporters, which resulted in 2 deaths and dozens injured. Because, let's make a forced labor camp, pay them slave wages because some wages are better than no wages in deplorable working conditions. Get rid of them starting to form a union by using the RCMP to, against the people. Because that always worked.
Yeah.
No, it didn't. He did invoke the controversial Section 28 of the Criminal Code. This was enacted in the aftermath of the Winnipeg General Strike, which basically dispensed with the presumption of innocence in outlawing potential threats to the state. Specifically, anybody belonging to an organization that officially advocated the violent overthrow of government. So if the accused had never committed an act of violence or personally supported such an act, they could be incarcerated merely for attending a meeting, which is very anti-union, union-busting type tactics. So they could attend a meeting, they could have spoken publicly in defense, or they could have distributed literature, and they could have been completely locked up. He also made legislation that specifically excluded Inuit from voting in federal elections.
Bravo!
So while he did build upon certain policies of King, that eventually King went back to and either enacted or built upon, he also did this.
Yeah.
And I will point out, he was a self-made multimillionaire by the age of 40. And, what problem do we see by putting self-made multimillionaires in charge of a country that's facing a depression? What bad could possibly happen? This. Yes, right here. Right here. Right here. Just because a lot of people didn't die doesn't mean people didn't die. Doesn't mean it wasn't a bad thing. Anyway, we no longer live in a political empire. That was his big quote. So he became a multimillionaire by the age of 40. He was a multimillionaire. So he lived at the Calgary Fairmont Palliser Hotel. I just find that such a multimillionaire confirmed bachelor thing to do, live in a hotel. He spoke against providing like financial aid to the Canadian Northern Railway. He tried to enlist in the Canadian military in World War I, but he was turned down for being medically unfit. Perhaps because he was missing 2 of his toes. Perhaps because he was 44 when he tried to do that. He believed that Bennett believed that Borden broke a promise to him. So, Bennett actually wrote Borden a resentful 20-page letter. Borden never replied, which I thought was funny. Overall, he did do this conversion from small government to big government, but it was viewed as too late. Again, his stuff in the Depression was very laissez-faire. And yeah, resentful letter. I'm trying to pick out another quote. I propose that any government of which I am head will, at the first session of Parliament, initiate whatever action is necessary to that end, or perish in the attempt. Yeah. Anyway, Sexy Moose.
Whoop whoop.
He was a teacher and became a principal at the age of 18, saving money for law school. He became a lawyer and a businessman. And then he made lots of money from that, and then made lots of money in investments and became one of the wealthiest Canadians. He was an alderman in the first town council of Chatham. He was buying and selling land, investing in oil. He had the Calgary Petroleum Products Company, where he was the director and solicitor. He worked with the Alberta Pacific Grain Company, Canada Cement, Calgary Power, Aitken, which later became who later became the Lord of Beaverbrook. He was voted to the Legislative Assembly of the Northwest Territories, the inaugural leader of the Alberta Conservative Party, Alberta Legislature, MP in Legislature. He was a philanthropist. He donated to schools, hospitals, charities, and individuals in need. He had full control of the E.B. Eddy Company. He had a long-time friendship with the widow of the company's owner, and she trusted him. Went to House of Commons. There's a lot that he did. He, after his stint as prime minister, he went back into he did his time in politics, became prime minister, retired to England, where he became a viscount. He is the first and only former Canadian prime minister to be elevated to the peerage as a viscount. And by March 1947, he actually sold nearly all of his investments. So that's about it. Do you mind if I move on?
Not at all.
Hey, this is Trapdoor Crabsworth for deathpixie. If you liked our content, please like this video and subscribe. And if you want to see more, just check out our links in the description. Do it. 200 Miri will kill you.